A lot of people are getting into debt to spend money on Disney World. And I get it. The economy is really bad. So a lot of people are wanting to go to Disney World so that they can feel like a kid again and act like all of this just never happened. But unfortunately, in this economy, if you cannot do that game of keeping up the Jones, you have to either increase your income or you're going to have to just stop vacationing. You're going to have to stop having as much fun as you're used to. And I completely get it because most people are used to, regardless of economic status, having a little bit of fun every weekend with their spouse, with their families, with their children, buying them some nice things here and there, nothing luxurious. And I get it. The cost of living has increased a lot. But for us to maintain the same level of spending we used to have, or the same quality of spending we used to have, that's just not going to work going forward. So if your family is maybe used to taking 2 international trips a year, maybe you might have to restrict that to 2 regional trips a year, or maybe 1 international trip a year, or even none, and that's just unfortunately how it is. But I am so disgusted whenever I go on TikTok and social media and I just see people irresponsibly spending $10,000 on a trip to go to Disney World for like 2, 3, 4 people. Like that's absolutely ludicrous. You guys do realize with $10,000, you guys can literally get annual passes, right? Like there's a thing called annual passes that you guys can purchase for that amount of money, plus more and some. Like guys, that's like at least like 4 mortgage payments. That's like 4 months of rent. That's like, that's like a lot of money, guys. That is like literally 20 car payments. That is a ton of money to just spend on going to Disney World. And one thing I will say as someone who lives in Orlando, I'm a huge resident here. So I understand, the quality of life, how much people love Disney World, right? And one thing I will say is people will honestly go to debt just to go to Disney World because that's why actually most of the people move here. I didn't move here for Disney World. I didn't even realize how big of a scene it was over here, right? But once I moved here, guys, I'm going to tell you guys know very loud and clear that Disney World is the reason why people are here. At least 99% of the time, unless you're the exception like myself. Most people are here for Disney. And let me tell you guys, a lot of the people who are big Disney fanatics, believe it or not, a lot of them make really good money. It's really a 50-50 split. They either make really good money, like they came from New York or some other northern state, and they have like a multi-6, 7-figure household. And that's why they're able to just come here because like, hey, I love Disney and I want to waste all my money on the Mickey Mouse. By all means, go ahead. You're good. That's not my target audience. My target audience are the ones who are like broke college students who are just coming here, early professionals, maybe you work fast food or whatever the case may be. And you're on the other side. You're the other spectrum economically where you can't even afford to go out. You can't rub 2 nickels together, but you make sure that you get your annual pass. You make sure that you're getting all these bougie hotels that you can't afford on a credit card dime. And all the tourists that also come here too and getting in $10,000, $20,000 in credit card debt. I've even seen some crazy numbers like $50,000. And I don't think anybody should be getting in any sort of credit card debt like that for anything, any reason whatsoever, but especially not for Disney World, guys. Like, I mean, the amount of things you could do with $10,000, guys, is actually insane. Like, I've even seen like, financial brokers, they take credit card nowadays. Like you guys could literally spend that money on crypto, on stocks, investments. You guys can open up a new business. I mean, there's a crazy amount of ideas that come to mind when I think about that type of money. The last thing that I'm going to want to do is to go spend $10,000 on Disney. But hey, I know everybody has their own cup of tea. Everybody has their own preference on how they spend their money. But this trend of getting into debt, I think, is the beginning of something worse. And I think it's very telling. It says a lot about the economic pressures and how a lot of people are choosing to deal with it. A lot of people are choosing to deny it. And that's why a lot of people are choosing, hey, you know what? Instead of getting up with the times, let me just go ahead and spend my time in Disney World. Let me just go ahead and spend $10,000, $20,000 to go to Disney World and credit card debt just because, and that's not really the most ideal way to go about things. I have two suggestions, because I kind of hate the whole doom and gloom about a lot of these videos that people post on here. I think the best way to go about this is if you want to spend $10,000, $20,000 on Disney, which whatever you want to do with your money, by all means, do with your money what you want to. But if you want to spend that type of money, you better be making that type of money. If you're not making like minimum 3 times that amount, like if you're not making 30, 60 grand a month, you need to get your money up. And let's say you are, you're not able to get your money up like that. Well, then maybe you should spend less on Disney World, because I've seen people go into some really crazy states just so that they can, cover their Disney World fund. It's kind of like how people have a gambling addiction. I know you guys probably, if you guys aren't here, you guys don't understand how severe it is, but I'm going to tell you as someone who lives here, it is really that bad. Like, people treat Disney like a huge addiction over here. And let me tell you, the amount of people I've seen homeless sleeping in their cars because of their Disney addiction is absolutely insane. And people are willing to sleep in their car as long as they have a Disney membership. And I won't lie, the Disney membership is only $50 a month. It's $50. I've had one before. But for $50 a month, that's the entrance, right? Then when you start, adding up food costs and drinks and all these extra, exclusions that they have in there, and VIP, Fast Pass, all that stuff, that can come out to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month, even as an annual pass member. Now, if you're someone more on the conservative side, like my wife, you're literally just going to get your $25 a month to get the annual pass, and that's it. So it's just pretty funny to me whenever I see all these crazy videos on TikTok of people saying, whoa, I just spent $10,000 to go to Disney World. I think what it is that we're living in a society where we have outpriced ourselves. And unfortunately, people can't afford to do nice things anymore. And so what's going to happen, I feel like, is people aren't going to reduce the quality of their living. People are just not going to make as much. They're going to maintain their quality of living, and they're just going to increase the amount they spend. So I'll give you guys an example of what I mean by this. Let's say there's a family and they're used to going to Paris, France once a year. So this is what that family will do if they're used to going to Paris, France once a year. Instead of being like, hey, you know what? The economy's so bad, Paris, France will no longer be $5,000 this year. It's going to be $15,000 this year. Let's say the parent can't afford it, right? The parents can't afford to take the family there. What they'll do is they'll be like, hey, you know what? Let's take on $15,000 in credit card debt to go to France this year with our, bougie hotel and restaurants and all that stuff we're used to doing. So we'll just pay $10,000 more in credit card debt. Instead of being like, hey, you know what? Let's just reduce the cost of living. Let's keep it at 5K. Maybe we'll go somewhere else this year. Try something new. Or maybe we'll go to the same place, but we'll try it for less money, right? But a lot of people don't want to do that because they don't want to sacrifice the cost of living. And I think that's what this whole Disney situation tells us, is that people aren't willing to reduce their standard of living and meet with the times of the cost of living. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, turn on notifications, and share this with other people you think might either have a spending issue with Disney World or might want to agree with us that, the whole Disney spending money thing is a huge issue. And I don't think this just applies for Disney World, everybody. So don't feel targeted if you're a Disney fanatic. This applies to anybody and everybody who's overspending on vacation, on travel money, and all those things because you're not willing to adjust your standard of living. And I get it. It sucks. We shouldn't have to adjust our standard of living for the economic pressures of today. But that's what it is. And part of being a responsible adult is keeping up with the times. So you either reduce your standard of living or you increase how much money you're making. It's really that simple. Anyways, I'd love to hear your opinions below. Let me know what you guys think below in the comments.